No, there's too many.
Bring me the Tatooine sets, crazy dog.
Well, you know what they say. It's bad luck to ignore a sleep paralysis demon. So,
hello, and welcome to my video ranking every single LEGO Star Wars Tatooine set that they have ever made. This took me an excessively long time to make, and so it will take you an excessively long time to watch, which I think is only a fair trade-off. And for the sake of my sanity, we're not going to be counting any random polybags or one-off promotional items in this video, so to all you guys rooting for Aunt Beru to come in first place, I'm just going to crush your hopes right now and tell you, no, that's not going to happen. Well then, shall we begin?
the sooner I start, the happier the sleep paralysis demon will be.
Coming in dead last are the, dare I say, infamous 3PO and R2-D2, the Technic versions, which, I mean, look at them and tell me that they don't deserve to be here, and that's all that I'm going to say about them. We're going to move on before they give me nightmares. Coming in slightly above dead last is the Mandalorian 4+ Naboo Starfighter. I think that this one is pretty widely agreed to be the ugliest 4+ set, and I completely understand why. Like, it's a lot worse than the other 4+ sets for sure. But the Technic 3PR2D2 and this Mando's N1 are the only bad sets on this list. I think that the rest of them are either good or just meh, like this pit droid here. I know that people really hate the Technic line, myself included. It does not look good, but this pit droid actually does not look that bad. It certainly isn't the best of the bunch. That goes to the Destroyer droid, but this one, it turned out alright. Much better than 3PO for sure. Like, it looks like it's got some cool functionality, so it's not all that bad, I don't think. Now, third from the bottom, we have the original Droid Escape Pod set, which, again, it's not a bad set, it's just pretty lackluster when you compare it to today's stuff. The printed pieces are nice, but it's discolored, there's a lot of blue on there, and overall it just looks kind of bland. Now coming in here at number 63, I've got the original LEGO Star Wars Skyhopper set from way back in the day. Now this one, very, very rudimentary, but for the day, it was not bad by any stretch of the imagination. And in fact, I think that this is probably one of the better sets from back in the day, just because it's more niche. It's, not a Millennium Falcon or a TIE Fighter. It's just fun that they had some of these more niche sets even back in the day. And, it's got some printed pieces on it, so I give this one a passing grade. Next up, I've got the Dual-On Tatooine set from, I believe that this one actually was 1999, and this one, I think, is totally underrated. Not because it's like some super remarkable build that just blows your socks off or anything, but just the concept of a nice little $10 thing like this, I like this one a lot. Here at number 61 is the original Sith Infiltrator from 1999, and this one, pretty objectively speaking, looks atrocious. It just does not look that good, but it was 1999, LEGO was still figuring things out, and for all intents and purposes, this is not that bad. Like, for the time, I don't think that this one was that bad. It's just got a nice charm to it, and I'm saying that as somebody who was still half a decade out from being born, so there's no nostalgia or anything involved with me saying that. Up next, I've got Mando's N1 Microfighter. Now, I know that just a moment ago, I was talking about how much I wish that they would bring back the concept of just a nice little $10 thing for you to buy or whatever, but let me remind you, this is not $10. I think that this is one of the worst looking microfighters. It just doesn't look all that great, in my opinion. I think it barely looks like the N1. Most microfighters at least look kind of like what they're supposed to look like, but this one doesn't really. Boba Fett's Slave 1 microfighter does a decent job of looking like what it's supposed to, except the wings, man. Those wings just look so bad. Darth Maul's Sith Infiltrator microfighter, however, does a decent job of looking like what it's supposed to look like. It's just, it's still a microfighter. Like, I can't really put it much higher on the list than here, you know? Coming up next is the Tatooine planet set. I personally am of the opinion that planet sets need to come back. I thought that this was a fantastic idea for a LEGO Star Wars subline, and I really wish that it had lasted longer. It only lasted 3 years, I believe, but some of the sets in this line were just awesome. Up next, I've got the original Mos Eisley Cantina, which I'm expecting to get a lot of flack for putting it down this low, because yeah, arm-printed Greedo or whatever, but it's just kind of lackluster for me, you know. The molded dewback is nice, and the Luke's Landspeeder build isn't horrible, but it's just, this one really doesn't do it for me, I gotta be honest with you. At number 55, the 1999 Anakin's Pod Racer also isn't quite doing it for me. Like, in all honesty, I think that the Pod Racer itself is pretty good, pretty solid. It's just the fact that there's the big tan stand, and I know it's supposed to blend into the sand or whatever, but it just makes it look a little bit odd. Up next, I've got the original Desert Skiff from way back in the day. Now, honestly, I don't really have much to say about this one, so I guess that I won't. It's just, I don't know, I just felt like it belonged here, I guess. Going back to those cheap little $10 ones that I wish would come back, we've got Jabba's Message from, I believe this one was 03, and you know, this one, very, very simple build, but it's nice, you know, it's modest, and I like this one, and also they used the correct head mold for Bib Fortuna, so that's a big plus. Now I'm gonna hop back on to another microfighter, and this one is like a value pack type of thing, which I think is pretty cool. You know, I think that the dewback doesn't look all that great, brick built, but the escape pod looks fine, and you got a stormtrooper. It's nifty. Ever so slightly niftier is this other Tatooine microfighter value pack, and this one, the Bantha, doesn't look bad brick built. Like, it looks cute. You know, the dewback, the Bantha looks cute, so I like this one, and I also really like the Skyhopper design. Up next is Jabba's Prize, which, you know what, big points for coming with the Gamorrean Guard right off the bat. I always love seeing Gamorrean Guards. It comes with the classic Boba Fett 2 and the original Han Solo and Carbonite piece, and honestly, this one just, it screams LEGO Star Wars The Complete Saga to me, and I like it because of that. Coming up next is the 2005 Sandcrawler, which, hot take, this thing is astoundingly hideous. Like, it just looks atrocious. But I've seen reviews on it, I've seen the back of the box and everything, so I know it's got some fantastic play features, and I gotta give it that. If I was a kid and I owned this set, I would have loved this thing to death, just because the play features on it are awesome. So I gotta put it at least this high on the list, but it just looks bad. The 2024 LEGO Pod Racer diorama, on the other hand, does not look bad. It does not look bad at all. It is, however, very underwhelming, so I gotta ding it quite a few points for that, and that's why it's going all the way down here, because it's just, it could have been a lot better. Also, what could have been a lot better is the 2003 Jabba's Palace. However, this one wasn't trying to be a display set or anything. This one was a playset for the sake of a playset, and I think that it excels in that region. Like, for what it is, this one is really good. A lot of these older sets that came out before I was born just have some kind of a weird charm to them, and that is no different with the original Luke's Landspeeder. This set is just as simple as you can possibly get with LEGO Star Wars, and I really like it for that reason. It isn't nostalgic or anything for me, it's just really comforting to look at it and go, man, things didn't used to be so complicated. And I know life has always been complicated for all of human history, but I didn't really realize that until I was an adult, so it's just give me this. Another set that doesn't get points or anything for blowing your socks off with the build quality is Watto's Junkyard. It does get points, however, for just being a fun, really good idea for a LEGO set. If you've watched my video about citizens in LEGO Star Wars, then you'll know I feel pretty passionately about this stuff. And I think that this kind of stuff is just so good for LEGO Star Wars, and I would love for them to make more of these types of sets. Here at number 44 is the 2007 Sith Infiltrator, which, in my personal opinion, is just pretty ugly. Like, I don't like the look of this very much at all. The Sith Infiltrator is supposed to be a pretty sleek ship, and this one, I feel like, just looks a little bit too lumpy. If you like this set, please don't kill me for comparing it to the Star Wars Holiday Special. Let's just move on to the original Imperial landing craft. This one looks pretty rough, and I would never want to own this for myself, but it did have some pretty cool play features, especially for the time. You know, the entire bottom could basically drop off and become a mobile command outpost, and like the wings on the back, I think there was a knob in the back where you could turn it and then they would both fold up simultaneously. There was definitely some cool stuff here. Now, here at the answer to life, universe, and everything is the 2012 Droid Escape Pod. And this one it's pretty bland, you know, there wasn't much printing or stickers on the outside or anything, but it did come with a speeder bike and 2 stormtroopers, which is pretty cool. Here at number 41 is the 3PO from this last year, which you could make the argument isn't a Tatooine set, but the base plate is covered in sand, so I'm going to count it as a Tatooine set. I don't really like this one that much. I think it looks kind of weird. I don't really get the buildable characters things, but that's just me. Here at number 40, we have what is definitely the best droid escape pod that they have ever made. This one didn't come with a speeder or stormtroopers or anything, but it came with 2 Jawas, and the detail on the escape pod is pretty good. I love that printed windscreen piece and the big stickers on the side. I know most people don't like stickers, but I like big stickers. I'll be honest, I do like applying the big stickers. This next one here is the original Mos Espa pod race from way back in the day. I believe that Anakin's pod racer is the exact same as the one that we took a look at earlier, but this set includes Sebulba's and Gascano's pod racers, which just adds a lot to the set, and then you also got some of the stands on the side. I think that this is just fantastic. I love sets that come with multiple vehicles like this. Next up, we've got the pod racing bucket from either 1999 or 2000. I believe it's 2000. But this one is awesome. It might be a little weird of me to put it above the quote-unquote named pod racers, but if you've seen my video about citizens in LEGO Star Wars, you know I love it when they do this stuff that isn't named, you know, just kind of random background stuff. I love it when they do this, and I think that this is just such a good thing for LEGO Star Wars, and plus it comes in a bucket. Like, that's cool. Then here at number 37, we've got the Tusken Raider encounter from 2002. And, you know, nothing about this set is really just, it blows you out of the water and you're amazed by it. It's just a nice set. The moisture evaporator is pretty decent for the time, and I really do like that speeder bike design, so it just kind of felt like it goes here. Now, next up, we've got the Mandalorian's N1 Naboo Starfighter. And this one isn't like a horrible set or anything. I definitely don't think that, but I do think it was way too big for what it needed to be. I think that they should have shrunk it down and made it like $30 or $40 as opposed to $60. Like, in universe, N1s are really not that big, and the size has always just kind of bugged me on this one, but it's swooshable. It's overall a decent set, just nothing too crazy here in my opinion. What does have some crazy stuff going on is this Boba Fett buildable figure. Now, I know people don't like the buildable figures, but before I ever knew what Star Wars was, I was a big Bionicle fan as a kid, and I loved seeing these buildable figures. They were awesome. You know, there were some bad ones like the Jyn Erso and whatnot, but this Boba Fett one was not bad. I think that this one has aged very well. It looks very good, and I am a fan of this set. For number 3 times 11 plus 1, I have the 2011 Sith Infiltrator. This one definitely could have been a lot higher on the list if it wasn't for the fact that the entire front section of this ship is like just a panel that lays over some stickers. I just think that that's so lame, but this one definitely has the size going for it. It's got a pretty decent aesthetic from the exterior. It's just, I think that front is so anticlimactic. Speaking of anticlimactic, here is the 2018 Mos Eisley Cantina. Now this one comes with a Greedo. I always love seeing the special molded Rhodian head, but other than that, this set just kinda sucks. And honestly, I'm wondering what possessed me to put it this high on the list. I would go back and fix it, put it all the way down at like number 55 or something, but that would entail several more hours of work. I'm pretty much halfway done right here, so I don't want to do that. Here at number 32 is Boba Fett's Palace. Now, I think that this one got a little bit more hate than it deserved. Like, I can definitely understand why it got the hate that it did, but I think that this was, all in all, a half decent set at the very least. It came with some great minifigures. It probably didn't need to be $100, but the minifigure lineup was pretty good, and the build, like, it wasn't great, but it didn't suck either, so I'm putting it here. Up next is the 2024 Sarlacc Pit with Desert Skiff, and this one is like the definition of overpriced. This was probably the most overpriced LEGO Star Wars set of all time up until the release of Ahsoka's Jedi Interceptor earlier this year. So this one, it's a great build, really, really good skiff, really, really good Sarlacc, but $80, it just cannot go any higher than this. Here at number 30 is the 2018 Sandcrawler. Now, one of the problems that you'll run into when you're ranking this many LEGO Star Wars sets is that you can be kind of wishy-washy on them. You know, there are so many of them, and on any given day, depending on your mood, you might put one above another. So, like, several days ago when I actually sat down and ranked all these, I felt pretty good about it, but right now I'm like, this one probably could have gone a little bit lower. I'm not sure. So just imagine this one is like number 30 plus or minus 4 slots. But yeah, this one is a pretty lackluster Sandcrawler. It's very small. It has a really cool interior and a really great way of accessing the interior. But overall, I think that they could have done a lot better with this one. This one is kind of a disappointing set. Up next, I've got the 2011 Luke's Land Speeder. Now, fun fact, this was actually the very first LEGO Star Wars set that I ever owned, so thank you, Grandma. I loved this one growing up. It came with such a good minifigure lineup. You would never see a minifigure lineup this sizable in a modern day set of this size. This was just a really good Luke's Land Speeder. It wasn't the best build by any means, but it had some cool minifigs. Coming in at number 7x4 is the 2015 Skyhopper. And I love this set. I know it has its fair share of problems. There's way too much exposed Technic on the backside around the engine, but I have so much nostalgia for 2015. 2015 is my third favorite year of all LEGO Star Wars, and it might even be my second favorite year at this point. I really do have a lot of nostalgia for this one, so maybe it should have gone lower, but I'm just going to keep it here. Next is the 2012 Desert Skiff. Now, the build quality of both the Skiff and the Sarlacc cannot hold a candle to the build quality of the Skiff and Sarlacc from 2024, but this one was much more reasonably priced. I think that this is just all around a much better set. I think it came with better minifigures, and yeah, it doesn't look as good, neither does the Sarlacc, but overall I think that this one was just better. Now, I might get murdered in the comments for putting this up so high, but I really love the Tatooine Battle Pack. This one released at the same time as the Sandcrawler from 2018, so it was a nice way to get more Jawas for your Sandcrawler, but just aside from that, the speeder in this thing is so cool, and I just love the idea of having a Jawa Battle Pack with a random droid and a Tusken Raider. It's just, you know, they should have chosen a different droid. I definitely don't disagree with anybody there, but I think that the concept of this was super. And finally, cracking the top 25, holy smokes, this video is getting long, is the Trouble on Tatooine set. I love the ballista in this set. I think that that was awesome of LEGO to do. I also think that that speeder bike is one of the best speeder bikes that we've ever seen out of LEGO Star Wars. And the tent is just a tent. I don't really care about the tent, but the ballista and the speeder bike are awesome, and I always love seeing that Tusken Raider head mold. Up next is the 2024 Sith Infiltrator. Now this one beat out the 2011 one pretty much purely because that 2011 one just has such a disappointing front section. This one doesn't look the best. I think it looks a little bit weird. It's very small, but overall, like, it doesn't make me want to gouge my eyes out or anything like some of the Technic sets. This one is just mediocre. For number 23, we've got Anakin's Pod Racer from the 20th anniversary of LEGO Star Wars. This one is definitely the best Anakin's Pod Racer that they've made, but it is still just Anakin's Pod Racer, and personally, I think that Anakin's Pod Racer is one of the less exciting looking Pod Racer designs, so it's going down a little bit lower than maybe it could have gone. Up next, I've got Obi-Wan's hut, and I love that this one can fold out, give you good access to the interior, or fold up and just have a nice sleek look, and by sleek I mean it fits the Tatooine aesthetic very well, so it's not sleek at all, which is a good thing in this case. I think that this is just all around a very solid set. I mean, it's nothing absolutely crazy, but for what it is, it's a very good set. Here at numbers 21 and 20, we've got two sets that really shouldn't be Tatooine sets. They're just kind of weird as Tatooine sets, but I mean, they got Tatooine box art, so I count them. And of course, that's the Stormtrooper and the Rebel Battle Pack from way back in the day. I think that the Rebel Speeder is a little bit cooler than the Stormtrooper one, but overall, this was a start of modern battle packs. They're pretty solid. Also, one that maybe shouldn't count as a Tatooine set is this buildable R2-D2, but it's got Tatooine box art on it, so I'm just going to go for it. And this one is a lot better than the 3PO one just because it doesn't need to be as humanoid, so it actually can look good. This one is pretty meh to me, but I think that the quality of the build is really phenomenal, so it's got to go up a little bit high, even though I personally don't really care about this set. And now the fourth one in a row that maybe shouldn't be a Tatooine set is the 20th anniversary Stormtrooper dropship. Pretty much the exact same as the other one that we just looked at, except the Stormtroopers are better. And I don't know, I think that battle packs are more fun than buildable R2-D2, so it's going above him. Up next is the 2020 Luke's Land Speeder, which personally, I'm not a huge fan of this one. I think that the underhang up by the grill area is a little bit weird, but the engines on this are very well done. I think that the engines look fantastic, and I love that Luke comes with a poncho. So overall, solid set, just it could have been better. The Bouche Leia helmet is, in my opinion, one of the best helmet sets that we've seen. I think that they really did a good job with this one. I love that it doesn't really quite fit the aesthetic of the other helmets, you know, just Stormtroopers and Mandalorians. This one really solid build. I think that the green just really makes it pop. I like this helmet set. Adding to the list of why is this a Tatooine set is the Stormtroopers versus Rebels battle pack from last year. And I know this one is on Tatooine because the original ones were on Tatooine, so like they had to make the anniversary one on Tatooine. Yeah, I get it. But like, I don't know, it's just weird to me. Overall though, this one, fine set. I like the Stormtrooper minifigures. I like the Rebel minifigures. I'm glad that we have this one. So thumbs up from me. All right, now 2014 is nostalgia central for me. I love this Mos Eisley Cantina set. It was the best Mos Eisley Cantina for a very long time, and it is still far and away the best among the non-Master Builder series Mos Eisley Cantinas. I love the introduction of that dewback piece. I love the introduction of the Bith musician heads. This set is just awesome. It's phenomenal. Such a good Mos Eisley Cantina. Up next is the 2017 Luke's Land Speeder, and this is the best Luke's Land Speeder that they've made, at least as far as play scale goes. It's got the best grill design that they've ever had, and I love the engine design too. Like, they're not as good as a 2021, but the fact that the grill design is so good really makes up for that. Now, what is in my opinion the best Sarlacc pit that they've ever made is the 2017 one. In terms of build quality, of course, the 2024 one beats this by a mile, but this one isn't double the price that it needed to be. And the build quality itself is still really good. Like, this one still stands up on its own two legs. I love the skiff design, and the Sarlacc pit itself, like the actual Sarlacc, has some really cool functionality when you wiggle the the tentacles. It controls the mouth, and I think that's awesome. All right, now, I know that I'm going to get a lot of hate for not putting this in the top 10 and not putting this above the 2013 sail barge, but here I've got the 2006 sail barge. Now, this one, in terms of playability, is much better than the 2013 one, but I just really don't like the look of this thing. I mean, you got the ugly Jabba, the old one, and the front of this set is just not doing it. It is not sloped enough. It's way too steep of a drop off. I really don't like this one much at all. I have no nostalgia for 2006, so there's that too. I don't have any nostalgia glasses, and I just think that this one is not really all that it's cracked up to be, but it is still a fantastic set in terms of playability, so it does belong near the top. All right, now, the moment we've all been waiting for, or that you skipped ahead to, the top 10. Number 10, I've got the UCS Luke's Landspeeder. This is a absolutely phenomenal UCS set. Like, when you think of the perfect UCS set, this is what should come to mind. I really don't know how they could have possibly made the quality of this build any better. I know it's way oversized and a lot of people don't like that, but like, any angle you look at this thing, it's just fantastic. I just don't know how you couldn't put this in the top 10. Number 9, I've got the 2013 Raincore Pit. This comes with a molded Raincore. Like, what else do you need to say? I'm so glad it isn't brick built. I think that Raincore is honestly fairly legendary. I love this set. I love that it came with a Gamorrean Guard. I love that it paired up with the 2012 Jabba's Palace. I honestly find it quite surprising that this is the only Raincore Pit they've ever made. You know, it took them until 2013 to do it, and we're still waiting on a remake. Like, it's the Raincore Pit scene. It's pretty iconic, so being the one and only, it's pretty good. Now, coming in at number 8, I've got the 2015 Sith Infiltrator. I said earlier, I've got a lot of nostalgia for 2015, and this is one of those sets that I especially have a lot of nostalgia for. I bought this new sealed about 2 years ago, so a year before the new Sith Infiltrator came out. No regrets at all. It was worth every penny. I love this thing. It is massive. It's an absolute beast of a set. I think that this is a phenomenal set. Coming up next, we've got the 2012 Jabba's Palace, which I think is almost universally agreed to be the best Jabba's Palace that they have ever made, and I mean, it might be the best that they ever will make. It's got all the bells and whistles. You know, it paired with the 2013 Raincore Pit that we just took a look at. It's got the better Jabba that they've made. It's got Bouch Leia, Chewbacca. The minifigure lineup on this thing is insane, and it looks great as a display set from the outside. This one is just an absolutely legendary set. Now, coming in here at number 6, I've got the 2011 Pod Racer set. This one is a very, very good set. The Anakin's Pod Racer itself is pretty average. Like, it's just a little bit worse than the 2019 one. You know, nothing bad there, but the real star of the show is absolutely the Sebulba's Pod Racer. This thing is massive. It just looks epic. I love the parts usage on this. I think that, you know, I mean, really, this Pod Racer alone, the orange one, is what put this set in the top 10. This is a phenomenal Pod Racer. Now, number 5, I know I'm going to get laughed at for this in the comments, and everybody's going to tell me that this is such a bad take, but I've got the 2018 Imperial Landing Craft, and honestly, if I'm being honest with myself and you guys, I put this one up so high just because it reminds me so much of the 2015 Imperial Shuttle Tidirium, which is my all-time favorite LEGO Star Wars set. So there's definitely a lot of nostalgia goggles isn't the right word, but like nostalgia by association, I guess, when I'm putting this one up at the top. But on its own, it's still a very solid set. And like I said earlier, this is not by any means a rigid list. Like, depending on the day, my rankings will change. It's just really hard to pin down a specific order when you're dealing with so many sets here. So like, I could see this as being more like number 8 plus or minus 3, you know, and when I ranked this, I kind of had a plus 3 type of day as opposed to a -3 type of day or -2 type of day. Now here at number 4, I've got the 2013 Jabba Sail Barge, and I love this set to death. It's one of my favorite sets that I own, and I know it doesn't hold a candle to the 2006 Sail Barge in terms of playability, but the aesthetics of this one are just so much better than the 06 one. I gotta be honest with you, I think the shaping is much better, and I just think that this one overall is a better sail barge. I love the updated Jabba minifigure from this set. I love the reuse from this set. It's got some really good minifigures, and also the fact that it's got that awesome green 2013 box art is just a massive W. Now, cracking the top 3, we've got the UCS Jabba Sail Barge. Now, personal preference, I like the 2013 one better, but I know, objectively speaking, this one is better than the 2013 one. I mean, it's the UCS Jabba Sail Barge. Like, of course it's better. You know, this is completely minifigure scale. It's got a fully fleshed out interior, and I don't know, there's just something about these minifigure scale UCS sets with the full interior that's just, it's really satisfying in some kind of a way. And of course, the details on this are absolutely insane. It's got so much detail packed into it. And as far as the minifigures go, I definitely agree with the community that Bib Fortuna's head was stupid. They should have used the right head mold. It doesn't need to be the fat one. And the 3PO should have had a dual molded leg, because, like, why would they not give him a dual molded leg? But on the Princess Leia, I do think that they made the right call there. I think that it was fine what they did. I think that was the right call, and ultimately the minifigures don't really break the set for me. All right, now number 2. This is one of my personal favorite sets ever, the UCS Sandcrawler from 2014. This is just top tier Lego Star Wars right here. Like, if they ever wanted to remake the Sandcrawler at this size again, the only way they could ever hope to improve on the 2014 design is by, you know, giving 3PO leg printing and then maybe using a couple of newer pieces for some of the greebling details. But, like, other than that, this thing is perfect. Like, it's going to be very hard to ever top this UCS Sandcrawler. And, you know, while it does have that UCS moniker, I personally don't really consider it a true UCS set. It's more of just, like, one of the all-time best play sets, because it's not as much for display as it is such good playability. This has some absolutely incredible Technic functions. Like, this is just top tier. I know I already said that, but I'm gonna say it again. It's top tier Lego Star Wars. And this is not like a wishy-washy number 2. This is like a solid number 2. And so, of course, that means that we are at number 1. The best Tatooine set is the Mos Eisley Cantina from 2020. And honestly, I don't really know if you can consider that an opinion, because I think that 99.9% of people would agree with you that this is the best Tatooine set. It's the Master Builder's Mos Eisley Cantina. It's 20 plus minifigures. It has a bunch of side builds, and I am a big fan of side builds when they're worthwhile. And here, I think that the speeders and the extra shops and all the moisture evaporators are absolutely worthwhile side builds. This thing just has so much detail. It is humongous, and honestly, I could give you like a 10-minute video essay on why this is one of the best and also one of the most important Lego Star Wars sets that they've ever made. Not just Tatooine sets, but all of Star Wars sets. This thing is very important, actually. And actually, lucky for you, I do have a 10-minute video essay about that. It's the video about the citizens that I have alluded to a couple of times throughout the video. So, if you want to continue to listen to me talk to myself in my car, then you can actually click on that video on the end screen right now. But if you're not interested in that video essay and just how important and consequential the Mos Eisley Cantina is to Lego Star Wars, then you can just comment your thoughts down below. You won't hurt my feelings, I promise.